Okay, think about this. A figure pulled from the ice, barely alive, whispering a chilling warning. Hear me. Let me reveal my tale, and you will dash the cup from your lips.
Wow.
Yeah, that arresting moment from Captain Walton's letters that kicks off our deep dive today. Welcome, learner. You're here because you want to understand things deeply, efficiently, grab those aha moments without, feeling swamped. That's exactly what we aim for here.
And today we are tackling a true giant of literature, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Our main source is the first edition, the 1818 one. We're accessing it via the Global Gray ebook, which, interestingly, was updated just this year, 2024.
Oh, right. And if you look it up, that cover image is pretty striking too, isn't it? The Artemboldo portrait of Adam.
It really is. Quite fitting, in a way.
So our mission today, it's pretty straightforward, but definitely significant. We want to unpack the origins and the enduring power of this incredible novel. Okay, let's just dive right in, starting with Captain Robert Walton and his perilous Arctic journey.
Right. The story unfolds through Walton's letters to his sister, Margaret Saville. Using letters like this, it's a framed narrative.
A story within a story.
Exactly. And it immediately brings up ideas about distance, communication, and it lets us see everything through Walton's eyes initially. We learn pretty quickly he's driven by this huge ambition for discovery, wants to go where no one's gone before, that sort of thing.
But he's also really lonely, isn't he? He talks about wanting a friend, someone on his level.
Deeply lonely. He yearns for that intellectual companionship.
Which makes that encounter with the stranger, Victor Frankenstein, even more intense. He pulls this guy from the ice, practically dead, and feels this instant, powerful connection.
Yeah, the text really emphasizes the stranger's intellect, his eloquence, even though he's incredibly weak.
Yeah.
And Walton is just captivated by this overwhelming sadness clinging to him. He desperately wants to know the story behind it.
He sees a kindred spirit, maybe?
I think so. Someone he feels he could have connected with deeply if things were different. And the stranger, Victor, even shows some interest in Walton's own scientific goals, despite his suffering.
But then comes that warning we started with.
Hear me.
Yeah.
Let me reveal my tale, and you will dash the cup from your lips. It's such dramatic foreshadowing. It basically screams that Walton's own ambitious quest could end just as badly.
It really sets that cautionary tone immediately. Walton's ambition bumping right up against this stark warning from someone clearly shattered by something.
Yeah.
So the stranger, Victor, starts to recover a bit and agrees to tell his story. And this takes us back to his early life, which sounds quite different.
Very different. Victor describes a pretty idyllic childhood, actually. Loving family, really close bonds with Elizabeth Lavenza and his friend Henry Clerval.
Sounds like a good start. Stable,
Yeah.
happy.
It's portrayed that way, yes. A source of real happiness for him. But even then, there's this intense desire for knowledge growing inside him, a thirst, really, that it eventually pulls him away from that stable life towards the University of Ingolstadt.
And for you, learner, it's worth thinking about how that early ambition, that drive, mirrors passions we see today, right? And how easily they can take over.
Absolutely.
So Ingolstadt, that's where things really take a turn. He starts dismissing mainstream science.
He does. He gets completely fascinated by the old alchemists Albertus Magnus Paracelsus, figures his professors think are outdated.
Right. Professor Krempe wasn't impressed, was he? How did he react?
Oh, Krempe is scathing, calls it a waste of time, ancient nonsense. He tells Victor he needs to scrap all that and begin your studies entirely anew with modern science.
So a pretty blunt critique.
Very. But it just highlights Victor's stubbornness, maybe. His belief that he can find secrets others missed by looking backward.
He even reflects on it later, doesn't he? Talking about some evil influence, the angel of destruction.
Yes, he does. It's like he looks back and sees that moment, that fascination, as a fateful wrong turn, almost like he was guided towards disaster.
That phrase is so potent, like he felt compelled down this dark path. And this intense focus, discovering the secret of life, it just seems to blind him to any ethical concerns or personal costs.
Completely single-minded.
Which leads inevitably to the creation itself.
The direct result of all that obsessive work, Chapter 5 gives us that moment of animation. Life flickers.
And Victor's reaction, not pride.
Not at all. It's instant, overwhelming horror and disgust. He's appalled by what he's actually done.
Just pure revulsion. And what does he do?
He runs. He completely abandons his creation, flees the room, refuses any responsibility for the life he just sparked.
Wow. Just immediate abandonment. What's the impact of that single act, do you think, for both of them?
Oh, it's absolutely pivotal. For Victor, it's the start of this crushing guilt and fear that just shadows him relentlessly. And for the creature, being thrown into existence and immediately rejected by his creator, it sets him on this lonely, painful path. That rejection is the seed of everything that follows, arguably.
And then we get this shift. We start to see things from the creature's perspective, though it's filtered through Victor recounting it later. What's it like for him at first?
Utter confusion. Purely sensory overload, really. Light, dark, cold, hunger. He has no context, no understanding.
Just raw experience.
Exactly. It highlights his initial state as a blank slate, but one with the capacity to learn. Then he finds the Lacey family in their cottage.
Yeah.
And watching them secretly becomes his education.
He learns everything from them.
Pretty much. Language, emotions, family bonds, how society works, all through observation. It's fascinating, learner, because in a way his education mirrors how we all learn, watching, listening, imitating, but he's doing it entirely alone from the outside.
And he learns about the tougher sides of society too, right? Inequality.
Oh, definitely. He hears them talk about the division of property, of immense wealth and squalid poverty, of rank, descent, and noble blood. It's a harsh introduction to human social structures.
So he sees kindness, but also prejudice.
Precisely. He sees love and compassion within the family, which makes him long for connection. But he also becomes painfully aware that he's judged solely on his appearance.
And the books he finds are crucial too, aren't they? Especially Paradise Lost.
Hugely important. That book gives him a framework for good and evil. He sees himself in Adam, the innocent creation.
But also in Satan.
Yes, the rejected outcast, the fallen angel. It speaks directly to his own feelings of isolation and injustice.
That duality is so tragic. He wants to be Adam, but feels like Satan. And his attempt to finally connect with the DeLaceys, how does that go?
It's disastrous. He carefully plans it, approaches the blind father first, hoping for acceptance based on his words.
But the others return.
Yes, and they react with pure terror and violence. They drive him away.
Utter rejection. What do you think that moment signifies? About the creature, about us?
For the creature, it's the absolute destruction of hope. He learned their language, he felt empathy for them, but none of it mattered against his appearance. It says something pretty bleak about human nature, doesn't it? That deep-seated fear of the other, the tendency to judge by surfaces.
And that rejection fuels his rage. He burns their cottage down.
Yes, an act of despair and anger. And then, tragically, he encounters young William Frankenstein.
Victor's brother.
Yes, and in a moment of pain and impulse, finding out the boys of Frankenstein, he murders him.
That's the point of no return, really. The start of the revenge cycle.
It truly is. And it gets worse because the creature then frames Justine Moritz, the family's innocent servant, for the murder.
Planting the locket on her.
Exactly. And she's tried, convicted, and executed. This heaps more guilt onto Victor, who knows the truth but can't reveal it.
Because he'd have to reveal his creation.
Right. He's trapped by his own secret. Justine's death just deepens the creature's sense of injustice and Victor's silent agony.
So Victor, tormented by all this, heads to the Alps for some peace.
Seeking solace in nature? Yes. But peace is the last thing he finds. His creation confronts him there.
The meeting in the Valley of Chamonix. What's that encounter like?
It's incredibly powerful. The creature isn't just a monster. He's articulate, eloquent even. He lays out his suffering, his loneliness.
And blames Victor.
Directly. He argues his evil deeds stem from the misery inflicted on him, starting with Victor's abandonment and society's constant rejection.
And then he makes his demand.
Yes. Create a female companion for me. Someone like me who won't reject me. Someone to share my exile.
A companion. And Victor, he actually agrees at first.
He does. Maybe guilt, maybe fear, maybe a flicker of responsibility. He starts the work.
But he doesn't finish it. He destroys the second creature before animating her. Why? What changes his mind?
He's plagued by doubts. What if she's as destructive as the first? What if they hate each other? Or worse, what if they reproduce?
Create a whole race of beings.
The thought horrifies him. Fear of the unknown, fear of unleashing something even worse, fear of the consequences. It overcomes his initial promise. He tears the second creation apart.
And the creature sees this.
Yes. He witnesses the destruction of his only hope for companionship. His rage is immense. And that's when he delivers that truly chilling threat.
I will be with you on your wedding night.
Exactly. A promise of ultimate vengeance.
And he makes good on it. It's just tragedy after tragedy from there.
A horrifying cascade. First, the creature murders Henry Clerval, Victor's best friend, framing Victor for it in Ireland.
Victor's imprisoned, falls ill. It's awful.
Then, the ultimate horror. On Victor and Elizabeth's wedding night, the creature bypasses Victor and murders Elizabeth.
Fulfilling the threat in the most painful way possible.
Utterly devastating. This breaks Victor completely. His father dies soon after, consumed by grief, and all that's left for Victor is his burning desire for revenge.
He loses everything.
Everything. So now Victor's sole purpose becomes hunting down his creation.
A reversal of roles, in a way.
Absolutely. Victor becomes the relentless pursuer, chasing the creature across Europe, into Russia, and finally into the Arctic wastelands.
An obsessive, grueling chase.
Totally consuming.
Yeah.
Driven purely by hatred and vengeance now. The creature sometimes leaves clues, taunts him almost, keeping just out of reach, prolonging Victor's agony.
Which brings us back full circle to the Arctic ice where Walton finds him.
Yes. Victor is at the end of his strength, his pursuit, his life. He tells Walton his story, and then he dies.
But Walton's involvement isn't quite over. There's one last encounter.
There is. And it's perhaps one of the most moving, unexpected scenes in the book. Walton finds the creature in the cabin, mourning over Victor's dead body.
Mourning after everything.
Yes, expressing profound grief and remorse. He talks about his own suffering, his loneliness, the love he was denied, and regrets his terrible actions. He acknowledges the pain he caused.
He shows his humanity, ironically, over the corpse of his creator.
In a very powerful way. He reveals the depth of his own anguish, his capacity for regret, alongside his capacity for rage.
And what does he say he'll do then?
He declares his intention to go even further north, to the most desolate reaches, and build his own funeral pyre. To find oblivion, an end to his suffering, and then he disappears into the darkness.
Wow, what an ending. So, learner, as we wrap up this deep dive into Frankenstein, there's so much to unpack. What really stands out, for me, it's definitely the danger of that unchecked ambition, the weight of responsibility for what we create, whether it's literal or metaphorical, and the devastating impact of rejection, how it breeds isolation and ultimately violence and revenge, that destructive cycle.
Yeah, and what's truly fascinating is how Shelley's story, written over 200 years ago, still hits so hard today.
Yeah.
It forces us to think about scientific ethics, about technological advancement.
Oh, responsibilities there.
Exactly. And it asks fundamental questions about what it means to be human, our potential for good and evil, creation and destruction, and the absolute need for empathy, for trying to understand the other instead of just fearing it.
It really makes you question, doesn't it? Where does the true monstrosity lie in this story? Is it the creature or the creator, or maybe even the society that rejected him?
That's the enduring question.
Which leads to a final thought for you to ponder. This complex relationship between Victor and the creature. How much are they both victims? How much are they perpetrators? Is redemption even possible for either?
I'm thinking about today. What are the modern creations, technological, social, ideological, that demand our most careful thought, our responsibility right now?
Heavy questions. Maybe revisiting the novel itself or looking into some critical analyses with these ideas in mind could offer even more insight. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.